What I used to do when I was a player, like probably an hour before the game, just go somewhere quiet, listen to my headphones and just close my eyes and just picture what I'm doing on the basketball court. Picture what I'm going to do. Picture that I'm going to be rebounding the ball. Picture that I'm going to be defending somebody. Picture that I'm going to be making the extra pass. Picture that I'm going to make the extra shot when the ball comes my way. So just really getting your mind mentally ready, for the game, and just closing your eyes and just picture everything what you're going to do. That was very that's been a very successful thing to me when I was growing up as a youth.
This episode is brought to you by West Coast Beach, a year-round beach volleyball club on the west side of Los Angeles in Santa Monica, California. At West Coast Beach, we aim to get 1% better every day, both on and off the court. You can find more info about us at westcoastvbc.com and on Instagram with handle @westcoastvbc. All right, I'm here with the one and only Anthony A.D. Davis. A.D., thanks so much for being here, bro.
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. All right, AD, you went to Inglewood High School, you went to Austin Peay State, 4-year starter, and you finished third in school history for scoring, which is awesome. Had some experience playing pro overseas, and you're the current Crossroads School boys varsity head coach, and you won the state title in 2018, my man. You're also the co-owner and head coach at U-Ball Training, which is uballtraining.com, and your IG is @AD_U-Ball Training. AD, my colleague, my friend, Anthony Davis. Thank you so much for being here, bro.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's jump right in, man. What does living an inspired life mean to you?
What it means to me, just to encourage people. When people see you, just know that you're upbeat and just encouraging, the youth. That's why I got into it, and that's what inspires me every day. The reason why I got into coaching is to impact lives. So that's for me. Every time I wake up, is to give back to the kids, give back to the community, and that's what inspires me the most. Is the youth.
I love that, man. How do you stay inspired outside of the game when you're away from the game?
Really, my family. My family. I have a huge family. My grandmother, my grandfather, my mother. They really inspire me a lot because they always push that drive in me to want to be the best. So it just just them just depending on me, and and I want to make them proud. I want to have my family proud of everything I'm doing. So I would probably say my family probably motivates me, inspires me the most.
That's awesome. You're a colleague of mine, and we shared the gym together for a few years, and I just always remember you just kind of having this energy of just like always upbeat, always positive, always happy, always inspired.
Yes.
Like how do you do that on a consistent basis? Like it just seems like you're just so consistent with that.
Yeah, well, it just starts with your, your routine. Just wake up. I wake up. I, say my prayers, and the first thing to, and then I meditate, and just to get all that, negative energy, and just get my thoughts together for the day. And just like I said, when I see kids, I want to let them know, like, hey, like I'm inspired. I'm ready to work. When I see them, I'm always upbeat, and I think that's mostly what it is. It's just getting prepared for the day, really waking up early. I'm huge believer in faith, so my prayers and meditation, things like that really help me start my day. And when I see those guys, and it just brings my energy. I love what I do, so it's very easy for me to get my energy up when I see my guys, because I just love it.
So that's great. So you mentioned meditation, and it's so cool to hear that because I try my best to do that, but like so many of my guests on this show have talked about meditation as like a primary tool that they use. And,
Yes.
this show is all about the tools, what kind of tools can we offer that we can share specifically to the youth athlete. But talk a little bit about meditation, like how'd you get started with that? And like, how do you continue to do it? It's because it's difficult.
Yeah, well, actually, it's pretty funny because I actually started reading Phil Jackson's book, and that really motivated me to start meditation. After reading what he was saying about the meditation, how thoughts in your mind just leaves, and it helps you even dealing with basketball in the game, when you're in, like harsh or tough, crowds or something like that, you're kind of at peace. So it's really for me to, a lot of kids mess up and, it might make me mad, but, I felt like that meditation kind of always bring me back to ease me, like, okay, breathe, get my mind clear and stuff like that. So it really has been really beneficial to me because, as you know, basketball, it's a reaction sport, so it's very fast, and emotions could get high, so it just really keeps me at, really even keel after, meditating and putting my mind at ease.
So, okay, so like, do you do it for like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Like, how does it work?
I started off around about 15 minutes. Well, actually 10 minutes. I started off 10 minutes, kind of went up to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and now I'm at about 30 minutes of
Really?
just sitting there, listening to the music. Thoughts are going through my head, but just like as a book say, that when the thoughts go right in, they go right out. You're not just really sitting there thinking. Your mind is loose. Your body, it seems like you're at a whole nother place.
That's awesome, man. Would you recommend the youth athletes start to get into that?
Oh yeah, yeah, because it really gets in tune, with you. What really triggers you. Staying patient, things like that.
That's awesome, man. Let's talk about practice. What does having an inspired practice mean to you? And before you answer, I've seen a couple of your practices, man, and they are inspiring. So, like
Yeah.
what about it makes it inspiring?
Just really, I mean, it's so cliche, but just that we're out here on the court and get a chance to, play this game we love, basketball. I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and just like I tell the kids, my little brother was actually shot in the back and can't walk. So, he's in a wheelchair, and every time he comes to my game and he's like, man, I wish I can, play like I used to. And, and I'll take that back to my kids, like, hey, like, you guys take little things for granted that, just by walking, that's something that, you can't take advantage of. So, when I go into my practices, we start off by having conversations, saying, things like that, like, hey man, let's get inspired, let's work hard, because, any day, this can be the last day that you can work hard, with all this stuff with the COVID, and that's what I'm taking from all this stuff as well, is that I'm going to come in every practice, every game, and treat it like it's my last. I'm going to come in here, give it my all, and make sure, my players and teammates and my coaches give it their all as well.
Wow. That's intense, man. I'm not sure if I knew that. Wow. What about an uninspired practice? Because it's kind of hard to have a inspired practice all the time, right? When an uninspired practice happens, what do you do? And what are some tools that you do as a coach to kind of snap that back around?
Yeah, so what I do, because we have it, with basketball, we might have a tournament. It might be four games in a row. Then we might have to practice after, and everybody's tired and just sluggish. Or it might, as you're a coach, Mondays come around.
Yeah.
After the weekend, Mondays is always that slow practice. So what I try to do is just try to come up with clever ways to just keep them engaged. So we might, I see them sluggish. I might say, you know what, okay. Pick two teams and just say, hey, first team to score one point, wins. The other team will be on the baseline. And then that kind of is like, oh, and then, just make everything in my practice, honestly, competition, to keep them on their toes, to keep them, like, hey, I have to make 8 out of 10. I can't just say like, oh, I'm going to just make 10. No, I have to make 8 out of 10. So just kind of using, those techniques to kind of fool them, to push them to, be inspired to be here.
Right. That's cool. Let's talk about a game. What does an inspired game feel like to you?
Oh man, it's just to me, it's just like when I'm in my zone and I can feel it, is when, my players are running the offense to a T. They're executing plays, they're executing on defense, and honestly, when I know I'm in the zone is when I can't even hear the crowd. I can't even hear a crowd. It just seems like it's just me and my team, and we're all on one note. It's just like, when you're a musician, and the guy's up there and he's doing things like this, and it kind of feels like that, when you're, directing, musical. So that's when I feel like, I'm in the zone. We were having a good game, and, everybody's inspired on the court.
That's great. Now, how does an inspired practice carry over to an inspired game?
Oh, it's very, very important. That's what we kind of build ourselves on is, just being encouraged in practice because everything transfers over. So really, I try to make our practices harder than our games. I try to make, in practice, we're intense, we're loud, we're encouraging each other. So when it's the game time, it just transfers over. Nothing is different. We just transfers over to another opponent. So that's how I kind of, just keep it, kind of balanced for both practice and the games when it transfers over.
Yeah. Um, this is just coming to my mind, AD. Like, how do you separate? How do you separate if, let's say, one of your players is having a tough time outside of the game, right?
Yes.
And then they come into the gym and they're carrying that with them. How do you separate that, or do you
Uh,
not, or do you
well,
keep it
well,
all?
well, well, what I do is that, I always tell, my players, first of all, my door is always open to have conversations, and sometimes you can kind of see it. I mean, as a coach, you can kind of see it. So what I always do is I call them in the office to, to talk to them after practice or maybe before practice. It depends on it, how I see them. But, just to talk about it and just to let them know that, like, hey, it's okay what you're going through, but let's use this, basketball to to alter that, your being mad or sad or your emotion.
Right.
Don't forget about it, but work through it. This is a place where you can kind of let all your steam and everything out and be you. This is the 2 hours that you can do you. So
Mm-hmm.
let that stuff go. It'll be okay. But just knowing that it's with us, as it's bigger than basketball. So if I see that, I might tell the kid like, hey, let's go grab lunch after practice. Let's go, hang out and talk. And when we talk, we do not talk any basketball. It's actually, how's your mother? How's your parents? How's your brother? How's school going? It's more conversations of, real life. What are you going through? And I feel like it's really been successful because, the kids, they play for you.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, I won a state championship. We didn't have any new transfers come in. We had, same old team, and actually we lost a player. But, the kids, they really trusted me. They really trusted me. I trusted them, and we had one mission, and we had one goal, and, we gave it our all together. So, that's how I feel.
Let's talk about the mindset of that championship game, and just talk about the mindset of from your players and from your staff and how it all kind of came together.
Well, it's funny. I'll try to make it, pretty short. But as you know, that was my first year as head coach. So, earlier in the season, of course, we had a tough schedule because, we had players like Sharif O'Neal, DJ Houston. We had, other 5 or 6 other seniors. So, we had a pretty, deep team. And, we scheduled pretty well, to have a lot of competition. So when we started off, it was kind of rocky. And, even players were starting to be like, starting to wonder, like, okay, when is this thing going to turn around? When is stuff going to start to work? And I remember one game, we played Foothill Christian, and we had a chance to win in overtime. And one of our players, and I'm not going to say his name, missed a wide open layup 2 times in a row for the game, and we lost. And that tournament, we were 1-3. And I went back into the locker room. Their heads was down. They were beat up. But as a coach, you could see your team growing. Even though you don't win games, you could see your team growing. And I went in there and was confident to them and was not mad at all. And I just looked that kid in the face and was like, hey, it's okay. You're going to get better. You missing them layups, I promise you after this game, you will never miss those layups again, and to get better. And he started to believe, and the team just started to believe. They understood that I wasn't just riding them when they make mistakes. I was with them, talking through it, and was positive. So, we were positive, and I just made that the whole, the whole method of the year, because it's like, hey, everybody wants to see us lose. We have a high profile player, but everybody wants to see us lose, but we have to stick together no matter what. We have to stick together. So once we had those talks and we got together, I believe we went on a 16 out of 17 game winning streak. Only team we lost to was Sierra Canyon that year by 6 points. So we're all good headed into the CIF championship, win 4 games, get to the championship against a rival, and we lose. We lose bad in front of everybody. And it was just a tough time for myself being the first year, to get to the championship game of the CIF and lose it, and really go back into the locker room with 7 seniors with their emotions high to tell them, hey, it's okay. Hey,
Right.
it's all right, that we still actually have life left. So that was probably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do was, lose in a championship game, go to the locker room, deal with, these young men that put everything in a game. I've been there with them, put everything in a game and just come up short. And just to have to talk to them, to get them to honestly let it go, so having that conversation with them in the locker room, and then the very next day have a practice and to come in there just like you said, like upbeat. It was very important that I couldn't let them see me hurt, even though I was hurt. I was disappointed, not in them, but in myself. And to come in that practice like nothing never happened. Like we didn't just play a game yesterday, and they looked and was like, okay. And that, inspired them to, hey, forget that. Let's go. And just like I told them, man, we got 5 more games. We still have life. And we go through those 5 games, get to that state championship. And in the previous championship of the CIF, Sharif didn't have a pretty good game at all. And that state championship game, before the game, I told him like, hey man, this is your show. And he cut me off and was like, Coach, I got you and I will never let you down again. And I'm like, let's go. And he put on the performance. I think it was 29 points, 15 rebounds, 6 blocks. Like it was amazing. And, my first year we ended up winning the state championship, so it was pretty surreal. It was honestly like a movie.
Yeah, well, that's so cool, man. Like that empathy that you're talking about that you have for your players. I think it's a huge skill. So it's a talent and a skill that. Would you say it's a skill, that having that empathy?
Oh yeah,
because not everybody has that.
Yeah, not everybody have that at all.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good lesson from that time. But since you mentioned Sharif, just talk a little bit about coaching him and because his dad is Shaq, having Shaq around. Just talk a little bit about that dynamic.
It was probably one of the best kids I've ever coached. Just because you think from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, it's Shaq's son, and he's arrogant. Oh, he thinks he's this, he thinks he's that, and he is totally the opposite. He's one of the most coachable kids I've ever met. Never talk back, never, forget you coaching, go rogue, do his own thing. No, he's always coachable, there every single time, like locked in and a leader, never complain. And it was a blessing to actually coach a, kid like him. And to, you mentioned Shaq, because I get it a lot. Like a lot of people ask me like, oh man, I know Shaq is telling you what to do, or is he giving you a hard time? Is he telling you to give his son the ball? And honestly, it was opposite of that. Shaq, we probably had one conversation about basketball. He pulled me to the side and was like, oh, hey, show me some stuff. And I showed him some stuff. And that was it. Other than that, he was always supportive, always had my back, always was in my corner, always giving me positive feedback and let me coach his son, let me do me. And,
Yeah.
I will, appreciate him so much for that because, growing up, it's like, Shaq was my idol, and to come and coach his son and also be around him is, it's like, not act like a little kid, like, oh man, I'm just excited that he's here. But that he really, didn't know me, but just trusted me, a young, Black African-American man, with his son. I've never had a head coaching job before this, and I get the coaching job and he's 100% behind me. It was incredible, and that whole, not just him, But Shawnee O'Neal, I have to give her credit as well. Because both of those raising not just him but their kids, man, they're all polite. I mean, they're just a great family, and they did a great job of raising their kids for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. That's really cool. I appreciate you talking about them like that because my experiences with them at Crossroads were very similar. They're just very, very nice.
Yeah.
They're very nice people,
Yep. Easy going.
Yeah. Cool, man. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about emotion.
Okay.
What are the differences and similarities in emotion from both the inspired practice and inspired game?
Yeah, well, the emotion is kind of more different for practice than a game to me.
Right.
Um, just because in practice I'm a little bit more vocal, I'm a little bit more, on the guys, because when it's game time, I let back, and and that's what practice is for. Like, hey, I'm trusting you with my team, and I've been fortunate to have great point guards, DJ Houston and
Mm-hmm.
Yuki, where I'm on them in practice. In the game, it's like, hey, it's your show, and giving the kids that freedom, and they feel much better,
Right.
you know. And so my emotions in practice is just really, really intense and fired up. And in the game, I really just try to keep a even keel emotion. If we're doing good, if we're doing bad, just letting the guys know, like, hey, I'm never too high, I'm never too low. I'm gonna stay just like this. And as long as you stay just like that, no matter what happens, we're going to be successful.
What are some emotional management tools that you can offer for any youth athlete who may be listening to this right now?
Really, just like I said, we talked about earlier, just meditation. What I used to do when I was a player, like probably an hour before the game, just go somewhere quiet, listen to my headphones and just close my eyes and just picture what I'm doing on the basketball court. Picture what I'm going to do. Picture that I'm going to be rebounding the ball. Picture that I'm going to be defending somebody. Picture that I'm going to be making the extra pass. Picture that I'm going to make the extra shot when the ball comes my way. So just really getting your mind mentally ready, for the game, and just closing your eyes and just picture everything what you're going to do. That was very, that's been a very successful thing to me when I was growing up as a youth.
Yeah, yeah, that visualization is key. I mean,
Yeah.
and then I think the most important part about the visualization is not just to see it, but to actually attach the emotion to it. So
Yes.
you can feel it first. Like
Yes.
like like let's say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say free throws, for example. Like,
Yeah.
isn't it a good practice to visualize the ball going in the hoop and then like feeling the feeling of yes?
Yep. 1,000%.
Yeah,
1,000%. And and that's what we do at practices, because we actually haven't been a really good free throw shooting team. So, and it's funny, that's what we do. We, like, hey, balls up, and we're doing yoga and Zen, I mean meditation, and we were picturing free throws going in. I might have them lay on their back and they're shooting their basketball forms and things of that nature.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's how we kind of help with that as well.
AD, let's talk about negative emotion and specifically things that may be happening outside of the game, in society or things that happen in the world that might affect us as athletes or coaches. And how do we deal with those things from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, I'll say it one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, how do we deal with like the negative, maybe some negative emotions or maybe some challenging emotional things that might be happening in society or in the world, and then how do we deal with those things from a leadership standpoint?
Oh, how I think that we deal with it, and just like with everything that's going on today, with the George Floyd and everything that's going on today. How I deal with it is I try to be positive, with everything going on. And I know a lot of people are mad and frustrated and negative, but I really think love kills everything. Um, and as long as we just keep feeding positive, and we have to set up stuff for the next generation, and they have to do better than what we're doing.
Yeah.
So like with the peaceful protest and stuff, I love it. I love that people are out there peacefully protesting. I'm not saying about the looters or anything about that, because that's a whole nother subject. And I'm definitely not, okay with that at all. But I think the, peaceful protest and, things like that, that positive will, hopefully it shift this world, So
Yeah.
that's how I think about that, just being positive and, peace.
Yeah, I've been telling players recently from the recent events. You mentioned George Floyd. To me, the emotion is real. There's definitely some
Yeah.
real emotions like anger, frustration, confusion. But I'd say mostly anger, right?
Yes.
And I've had some moments myself where I'm just been like, man, like this is not cool. My message to my players is very, very simple. um, Love everybody unconditionally
Yep.
and be kind to each other.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it,
That's
like,
it. Yep.
would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I mean that's it's funny because I told my players exactly that same thing. That we're on the Zoom since we can't see each other, and I had to first thing when all the stuff I had to have a Zoom call with my players because
Yeah.
number one, we have a lot of players of color on our team, and just as you said, because with all the stuff going on, I'm mad, I'm frustrated as well. Even though I peace and love, but I feel some type of way towards it. So I could imagine myself as a 16-year-old, or 17-year-old, 14-year-old with all this stuff going on and the confusion and the mad and the hurt. And, I know kids can just, just not really think and just say, forget it. I'm going to do this. This isn't fair. I'm going to do this. And so just to get ahead of it, just to let them know like, hey, no, this is how we change the dynamic. People been, rioting and burning stuff, back when Rodney King incident happened, and that wasn't the way. It's not the way, and nothing happened from that. So we can't go back to just doing that. We have to come up with something else, and nothing can beat peace. Nothing can beat love. I mean, at all. So
Well, the beauty of sports is that like we could kind of get lost in the game,
yeah.
and like separate all that stuff. But outside of the game, what are some things you could think of specifically that the youth athlete could do specifically for these issues that are coming up?
I really think just having conversation with older, older guys or older, ladies that been through, stuff like this in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and really, getting, knowledge from, our ancestors to really figure out what's going on, how to deal with certain things, how did they deal with it, because it was worse back then. This is
Right.
before camera phones and stuff like this. So it's very important that that they talk to somebody and let their frustrations out instead of keeping it all in. Voice your frustration. Don't keep it in. Don't. I mean, it's okay to be mad. Let's talk about it and let's see how can we fix it. How can we fix this problem, because it's a really bad problem and it's something that needs to be addressed and it needs to be fixed. I mean, just like it was a black president, so it should be, things should be, everybody should be, equal by now.
Yeah, my hope is that we can look past categories of race, ethnicity, even gender. We could look past those things and we could just see each other as like spiritual beings, and that
Yep.
we're all together. We're all human beings, like my hope is that we can get to that point. I'm not sure if we can right now because, and I'm not saying not like disrespect each other's cultures at
Yeah.
all. I'm saying celebrate each other's cultures, celebrate the
Yeah.
differences, but like kind of almost look past them and like see each other like for the real spiritual part of each other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That.
Yeah. Okay, cool, man. Well, let's move on. Let's go back to the game.
Okay.
Let's talk about flow. Can you identify when you are in the game in the flow? And I want you to answer that as a player and as a coach.
Well, as a player, I just know when I'm in my flow it's kind of like when I'm in coaching. It's kind of almost like the same thing. The crowd, it's not there. I can't hear anything. I'm locked in on one goal, and that is to win, to give my team my everything, as a player. So, as a player, just locked in on my assignments, what I have to do, my rotations, stuff like that. You know, as a coach, my flow, just like I said, when my players are running the offense, you know, to a T, when they're hitting their defensive rotations, when we're, you know, rebounding the ball, kicking it up, and running, you know, the break. And just like I said, the fans are not there to me. You know, me and my players are, you know, in tune, and we're one. That's when I feel like, you know, I'm in my flow.
And can you identify that moment, or does it just kind of come and go?
It kind of, yeah. I mean, it kind of hits you because you're locked in. When you get a timeout, you know, your guys are fired up. You know, you bring them to the bench, and you know, everybody, you can just feel it. Like, you know, when I come and I kneel down and I have the players over me, you can just feel that energy. You can feel the flow. You can feel, you know, everything just right there. And you're in that, you know, huddle. You're just telling your team what to do, and everybody is looking at you locked in. And you can tell when you look at every person in that huddle, from the coaches to the players, and they're all eyes on you, and you can see it in their eyes that, you know, that we're all on one page, you know. And I think that's when, you know, I feel the flow.
Is it possible to practice that feeling?
Oh, no, you can't practice it. It's no imitation. I mean, you can't. It's just something that it just hits, you know. I mean, in our practice, you know, in some practices, you can feel it that, you know, flow has occurred, you know, that, you know, everything is going well, but it's nothing like the game. It's nothing like the game. And I guess because of the audience and, you know, everybody, you can feel the support, you can feel everything, you know. In practice, you really just, you know, it's just us, you know, so we don't feel anything outside of the lines. But when that game comes, you can feel the parents flow. You can feel everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I want to build on that a little bit. I'm wondering if there are moments in practice where you know, you're fluid, you're in the flow, you're locked in. Is it possible to bank like certain moves and repetitions so you can access them later
Uh,
in specifically in that flow? You know what I mean?
no, I really like to let it be natural.
Okay.
You know, something that, you know, don't like to practice, or, you know, I mean, it's kind of more natural for me, at least. You know, it's kind of more natural.
And when that rim just feels like it's just so big and you can't miss, like
Yeah,
that's what you mean by in the flow, right?
yeah, exactly. You know, you can't miss. You're just locked in. I mean, as soon as you catch the ball, you can just feel it. Like, hey, before I even shoot it, it's going in. You know, so.
Is it possible, AD, for you to feel like that outside of the game?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't really haven't really thought about it or tried. You know, when you love something as, you know, as such as a basketball, baseball, football, that really kind of conceives you. You know, you kind of identify yourself with those. You know, the sports. You know, anything outside of that is just, you know, I don't know. It just, I mean, basketball is it for me. That's just how I get down.
Yeah. I think I'm asking that because I think, to me, that's the goal, is to try to take those lessons and those experiences that we have within our games and
Yeah,
then transfer them over to, you know, our professions, within our family, within just even walking down the street. I think that's kind
yeah.
of one of the goals that I have for my life, is to just feel that often.
Yeah, and that's something actually I need to try to do as well. You know,
Yeah.
have a flow with my family. You
Yeah.
know,
Me
stuff
too.
like that. You know, this quarantine we had too much flow. You know.
For sure. AD, let's talk about sources. Where do you get inspiration from?
Ooh, honestly, I get inspiration, just like I said, from my grandparents. You know, my mother, my mentor. I know you know my mentor Torino. You know, I really get my inspiration from those, you know, from those people. You know, just from my grandparents. You know, I've always wanted to, you know, just make them proud of me. You know, and not only that, you know, I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so I have, you know, younger brothers and sisters. So I want to make sure that, you know, I'm you know, giving it my all for them as well, and they're looking up to me and, you know, seeing me, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Torino. He's awesome. He's an inspiration to me and another mentor as well, for me. The way he just operates is very inspiring. Are there any specific players that you can think of, or coaches, in your life, in maybe in your personal experience or just in general?
Yeah, a lot. Well, a lot of people. It's not even really coaches. Daryl Roper. I work with a guy, Anthony Locke. You know Anthony Locke as well. He used to be basketball coach, but he's the dean of students at Crossroads. Works his butt off, and I see what he does every day as a young black man going into work every day and working hard and doing his thing on the side. That's really inspiring to me to push to be better as well. And that's who I want to hang around. Those are the guys I want to be around to push me to be better and do better because they're doing as well. Uh, so,
Absolutely.
so Anthony Locke, Daryl Roper, as I said, Kevin Jackson. Those are the guys that kind of molded me as coaches. Kind of really molded me.
Shout out to all those guys, man. The Crossroads fam right there.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about MJ and Kobe and what
Oh yeah.
influences
I
those
can't.
guys.
I can't forget about MJ.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot. She really inspired me. Just like you said, she really let me know.
Oh, you're talking about Mary Jo. Oh, Mary
Yeah,
Jo
Mary,
Deutsch.
no, yeah, Mary.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
She just really showed me how to operate outside of the game, in the community. Um,
Hmm.
and I really, she's really inspiring to me, and I'm really thankful to have her as a mentor as well.
Yeah, yeah. I interviewed her for
When I need to vent, she's right there with
yes.
great answers.
I interviewed her for this too, and she was incredible. And she major shout out to Mary Jo Deutschman. She's awesome.
Yeah.
I was actually referring to Michael Jordan, MJ,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, MJ and Kobe. And I was just wondering how what kind of influence they had on you.
Oh man. Well, those two in general, but Magic Johnson. Those three I really looked up to. That I see, and I want to share a quick story with you about Magic Johnson as well,
Yeah,
because when as a kid I see Magic Johnson on TV, I'm like, oh my God, he's smiling, he's so cool, he's just a great dude. And I went to his basketball camp, and he was one of the meanest guys I have ever met in my life. He came on the basketball court and just was just talking trash and just was really on us. And I'm like, wow, you're not Magic. Like, who are you? And I never forget, at lunch, I go eat lunch, and it's a bench that's next to our campers,
hmm
and Magic comes sits down next to us. And I'm like, wow, oh, here go Magic. You was one of my favorites. Now I don't know about you. And he comes and was like, hey, I know you guys, I kind of got, intense, but I just want to let you know that's how much I care about this basketball game. When I'm on that court, I'm a different person. When I step off that court, this is me. I'm smiling, I'm happy. But when I'm on that court, I'm trying to win, and I'm trying to, be the best. And from that day forward, I was like, okay, now I know I have to be, two people. When I'm on that court, I have to be a dog. I have to be relentless. I have to, this is the battlefield. And when I step away from it, I have to leave everything on that battlefield on the battlefield. I
mm
can't take nothing, none of that with me, and so that's what I've learned from, guys like that. And Kobe, his drive, I've seen Kobe and his drive and his work ethic. And, if he's, one person's putting up 200, he's going to put up 400, and just the dedication. And you see, from LA, you never really seen Kobe outside in the club at bars. He's always just getting his work in, and so I've kind of always kind of looked up to that, someone like, man, Kobe works hard. I have to do that to be successful as well.
Yeah, yeah. Major shout out to Kobe and his whole family.
Yeah,
He had major influence on me growing up as an athlete, and yeah, tragic.
very tragic.
Talk about that for a second. Like, how did that impact you when you heard about that?
Uh, it's still so surreal to me. I still have doubts right now that it still doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
But I remember that day I was actually out there in Calabasas, and when we got the news, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it all the way until I really got home and really seen it for myself on TV, and I just couldn't believe it. And it really affected me. It really affected me because I looked up to this guy, and and not only about me looking up to him and what he done on the basketball court, but just what he was just getting to do off the basketball court. You know, how he was helping with the WNBA and women's basketball and all the stuff that he was starting to do off the court. That's what really, you know, got me choked up and everything when I heard about it, because we lost a great human being, and you know, his memory will live on forever. And I'm just glad that he just got to touch so many people in his short lifetime. But I wish, you know, he was here right now and had more time to give more knowledge and influence and everything he was doing. I mean, he was a very special person. He wasn't an average person. He wasn't normal.
Right. And how did your players react to that?
Oh man, I mean, just being honest, my players cried. You know, we had a conversation before practice like we always do, and you know, had a talk, and you know, a lot of them crying and you know, just hurt. You know, I mean, it really hurt. It really hurt. So they
Yeah.
didn't take it well, but just like we said, we had to talk about it, and you know, to get it off our chest, to not hold anything in. We can talk about it and be comfortable as men to talk about it amongst men. If you need to cry, you know, man cry, you know, and this is the time to let it out, you know, because at the end of the day, we're a family. So, you know, you're crying, everything stays in here. No one's going to tease you about you sharing tears or anything, because, you know, you let your emotions and feel free to be you. And, you know, we're going to be us, and we're going to help you through it.
I love that. AD, I found this quote that you said, and I'm going to read it. And then I'd like you to expand on it and just kind of, and this is a main reason why you're inspiring to me. You really inspire me, kind of the way you carry yourself off the court, almost a little bit more than what I've seen you do on the court. Because obviously on the court you're accomplished and you're successful, but the way you carry yourself is really, really great. And it's you're a role model. And
Thanks.
so yeah, for sure. And so I found this quote, and it really inspired me. So I wrote it down, and so I'm going to read it, and I'd like to have you expand on it and just tell me
Okay.
where it came from and what it means. I believe a man must always prove himself day in and day out. That means I don't live by yesterday's accomplishment. So every day I prove my ability and my power.
Yeah. It's funny. I really live by that, because, you know, I was kind of more so kind of saying that about, you know, the state championship. A lot of coaches, a lot of people get comfortable and they, you know, like to brag, hey, oh, state championship, oh, this and that, you know, and kind of get comfortable. Me, I never want to feel that way. You know, I think I probably wore my state championship ring twice, you know, and people ask me, how come you don't wear it? Like, hey, I want to get another one. You know, that's, you know, I'm not going to live, you know, by that. You know, I'm going to try to work and be the, you know, best I can be. You know, I want more. I want more than that, you know. So that's what I meant by that. I don't want to live by, you know, yesterday accomplishments. I want to, you know, just keep getting better. You know, my goal as a player when I was playing was to be the best player I can be. You know, so now that my role is transferred, you know, that's my goal, to be the best coach I can be. So day in and day out, I just want to work on my craft to get better, to, you know, just to give back, to impact these kids.
It's awesome, man. Let's move into the lightning round.
Okay.
Again, answer these however you want, but shorter the better if possible.
Okay.
How do you define success, and what does being successful mean to you?
How I define success is not by wins or losses. I don't define success by wins or losses. I, you know, define success by, you know, just accomplishing something, you know, even if it's not, you know, the goal, the win, but that we got better. That's how I kind of define success, that, you know, every day we just get a little bit better. We're better than we were yesterday, you know, and that's how I kind of, you know, define success, that, you know, we're coming along gradually and we're getting better.
And what does being successful mean to you?
Being successful mean to me is just really being consistent, you know, just really being consistent on everything that you're doing. You're even keel, no matter what, you're just, you know, you're just, yeah, just consistent.
Love that. How do you consider the idea of failure?
Um, you say how I identify it?
How do you consider it?
Oh, I consider failure as something that, you know, really, really with the group, so if the group is not, together and everybody's, not on board, I feel like, that's kind of like, okay, that's, considered our failure. If everybody is, kind of, not in tune or like, hey, no, this is not it or engaged, I think that's kind of where, I consider that's a failure.
Okay. Okay. What are the most successful habits that you do on a consistent basis?
That would probably be, just working on my craft, just watching, videos of practices, going to college practices, calling, different coaches and, just sharpening my, knives, with their iron, so that's kind of what I do to just stay consistent, just, always, tap into, head coaches, tap into practices and, just work on getting better.
So every guest that comes on, I think of a word that best describes that person.
Okay.
And for you, and I'd like you to think of a word that best describes you too. So you could think about that while I'm telling you what I came up with.
Okay.
Um, and I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but
Oh, no.
so for you, I came up with it's two words, but really it's composed is the word, and then I put consistently composed in front of that. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah. That resonates with me. Just like I said, I'm always, even keel. I'm never too high. I'm never too low. I mean, you're always going to get, this consistent Anthony. You're always going to get no matter what, So I think you're right on with that.
Cool, cool. Any words other than those that come to mind for yourself?
Um, just I guess loyal would be a good one,
Yeah.
because I'm really big on loyalty. Um, a lot of people has helped me out back in my, in my time growing up, and even in my position now, and I want to make sure no matter what, I want to be there for them. So just really loyalty, and um, another word I could probably say is just uh, I guess I could say relentless, because once I put my mind on something that I want to do it, I'm going to get it done.
Mm,
So that's just, I've got that from my mom. No matter what happens, I have to, I have to get it by any means necessary, quote from Malcolm X, I'll always live by that. So no matter what, I'm going to get it.
that's awesome. What's your mom's name?
Yvette Davis.
Shout out to Yvette.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. What is the most important lesson that has helped shape who you are today?
Ooh, the most important lesson, man, it's been so many, but it's probably one that I that my mentor probably told me, and you interviewed him as well, Torino, is that and I hold on to this, big. I'm really big on this. Is that I remember one time he told me that, never try to keep impressing people. Never worry about what other people think about you, about what you're doing, about your team, about your success. Don't worry about that, because you will never please them, So just keep doing you and keep doing right by you and your team. That's all you need to worry about. And so, I really took that on because, as a, first year coach, I want to, man, I want to prove that I belong. I want to prove that I've been the coach. And it's like, nah, you don't need to prove that. You don't need to prove that. Forget what they think,
Right.
keep doing it for you. So that has been one of the biggest lessons that I've really kind of, taken away from that.
AD, that is huge. And I just want to stop right there for a second because social media is such a big part of the youth athletes experience right now. And it almost kind of can take away from what you just said because you're looking at you're constantly looking about at others and what they're doing and maybe the judgments come up. So can you just talk a little bit about how social media plays a role into that lesson that you just said?
Oh man, social media and now these days plays a huge, major role in these young, athletes' lives. I mean, we've talked about, let's use Sharif, for example, very high profile kid, a lot of followers on social media, and, say if he posts a picture, you get haters, and haters is, oh, you're not that good. Oh, hey, this and hey, that. And, a lot of kids, if you're not really, built for it, it can really affect them. I've seen it firsthand where, kids are affected by people saying something to them social media, and now
Yep.
they're worrying, looking at, trying to please the person and please people, and just like, we have conversations before our practice, like, you'll never please them. No matter what, you can have 40 points in a game, they'll still give you a negative comment. So don't worry about what they think. Keep working, and just keep, have on your horse's blinders and just keep going and moving forward. So it's a huge role. A lot of kids now, I remember, back in my day, we didn't have social media. So I would go to the gym for 2 hours and just put up shots and, leave out the gym. You would never know if I was in the gym unless you see me in the gym. Now kids are go in, put up their 50 shots, post their picture that they're in the gym, and leave to go home to get some credit that they were in the gym, or
Yeah.
just, following other guys, and, or just, I see it in our layup lines. We have, overtime and baller vision come to our games, and, players, our players in layup lines, they want to try to dunk, even though they can't dunk, just to try to get a highlight reel. And it just really messes with the kid's head, because that's not what the game is about. We want to limit all that outside noise and outside, outlets, and just focus on, this 94 feet.
Yeah, it's a real issue. I'm glad you talked about it, because it's I feel like it's only getting worse. Worse by meaning like faster download speeds and just more content, and you have TikTok, and it's just like it's intense, So I think managing that from a leader standpoint, and just for both of us, for people like us who are leading the youth athletes right now, just to like real quick, one of the examples that is coming to my mind is I challenged my players to have maybe 1 hour less screen time per week. It's like a challenge, and it's like, hey, can you do that? And it's kind of a little fun, like, oh yeah, my screen time went down, So
Yeah.
are there any like challenges like that you can come up with?
I don't think so. I think I'll lose no matter what. I feel like I can't win with that. And that's another thing I've learned about coaching. Fight the fights that you can fight.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
If you think you're gonna lose it, don't even fight it. Just fight the fight you can fight.
That's well said. I like that. All right, cool. Can you share the biggest challenge that you've been on through Can you share the biggest challenge you've been on through your journey?
Ooh, it's funny because I believe that you were there for my biggest challenge. That I was 6 years assistant coach, and trying to get the head job, and it was a challenge. I went through 5 interviews, to people that already knew me, already knew that I belong here, and just to finally get that position, it was incredible. But that was, I would say, getting the head coach position was probably the biggest challenge, besides also losing in the CIF championship game, and have to go in there to a group of kids that gave it their all to to just get them back together. In my coaching career, I believe those are probably the 2 hardest things that I had to encounter.
Yeah. Well, you did a great job with both, and managing both of those challenges. Really, the way you did that was great, because I was there and I know it was challenging, and I commend you for your patience. You were very patient with it, and you were very sure of yourself. You're like, yeah, confident. Like, I know what I can bring here, so.
Yeah. I appreciate you. And, just like I said, it wouldn't be no state championship without you, to me.
Oh man, appreciate that.
You played a very big piece of it. And I will never forget it, as we talked about, and, I'll owe you forever.
Oh man, no, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Let's talk about, oh yeah, here we go. what is the biggest challenge you see for your athletes? And I know we just talked about social media, so that maybe could be it, but are there any other challenges that come up?
Yeah, a lot of challenges is, these college schools, really offering these other kids, and they look on social media and see a lot of kids getting offered, and they think that they have to hurry up to try to get a Division I scholarship when you need to become a high school basketball player first, before a good high school basketball player, before you think Division I. So I think the challenge is a lot of kids skip, thinking, they already thinking about college before they think about, mastering and, dominating the high school level game first. I think a lot of kids already think they see themselves as like, oh, well, he's D1 and I think I'm better than him, so I belong here too.
For sure.
I really feel that's a really big challenge for the kids now these days.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, I got one. I don't have this written down. It's coming to my head. What's the biggest challenge you see for parents of youth athletes right now?
Ooh, man, just really seeing their kid for, who they are, really being 100% honest what their kid, can do. I think that's probably the biggest problem, because, a lot of parents think their, kid is Michael Jordan, Derek Fisher. I got emails, hey, my son is like Derek Fisher if you give him a chance, So I think parents are just, their expectations. I think they kind of need to just, check those as well.
Mm-hmm. And emotions.
Yeah.
How important is the idea of having impact to you?
It's everything. I think impact is, why I got into the game, why I got into coaching, just to impact the youth and impact the world. It's all that it's all that I am.
I love that, AD. That's awesome. Just a few more here.
Okay, yeah, because I'm on Anthony Locke's computer. Actually, he has to go. So.
Oh, really? All right, we'll make it quick.
Okay.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and why? From who?
The best piece of advice that I've gotten is from, I believe, my cousin Clifford Young. He's an attorney out in San Diego now, and his message to me when I was younger is just never quit, like never give up. A lot of times, you might not see it, it might work out for you, but just never quit and just keep going. So I know it sounds so cliche, but it's 100% true. As you know about me getting a coaching job, I could have been like, hey, forget this, I'm going somewhere else. But the reason why I didn't quit was because of him. He was, voices in my head keep pushing me to get better, and that I deserve the job, and walk in believing that I am the man for the job. So that really helped me out tremendously.
Yeah. What is your ultimate why?
Honestly, my ultimate why is to be the best. My ultimate why is to leave the impact, not just for my kids, my children, but for every kid that I've ever coached, every kid that I have ever, trained, that, I impact them in a way that they will pass it down to the next generation. That is my biggest why. My biggest thing is I've always, for some reason, like growing up as a kid, I've always wanted to be remembered, when I'm not here, when I'm gone. And I think that's one of the biggest things that always drives me, is to, when I'm gone from this earth, that, someone else that I've taught can pass my message and pass my lessons on down to the next generation, the next generation, the next generation, on and on and on.
Yeah, that legacy, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Last question. Talk to me about fulfillment. What does fulfillment mean to you?
Oh man, it means everything. I'm trying to be fulfilled now, but it's just the competitive edge in me that, I'm just one of those guys. I'm just a tough critic on myself, not with kids, but just on myself, that, I'm never satisfied with myself. I'm never satisfied. So, I'm always itching to get better and do more. One day when I retire and sitting back and, be an old man, maybe I look back and be like, okay, this is what fulfillment feels like, but until I retire, I don't think I probably would ever be, fulfilled. So yeah.
Man, AD, it's so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing some experiences and some mindset and just everything, a piece of your heart today. That was just an awesome
No
conversation,
problem.
man.
Just like I said, thank you. I'm honored just that you even thought about me with everybody that you have. I'm honored to get on here with you, and just like I said, thank you for everything. You mean a lot, and I'm here for you no matter what, brother.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Just a moment for some sponsors. Do you have any sponsors you want to give shout outs to?
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to Jordan Brand. It's our brand at Crossroads, undefeated. I got my little undefeated hat, repping them, and also Elite Sports Club and U-Ball Training. Those are my other basketball organizations that I help out, and they help me out as well.
Cool, man. I'll leave links to all those things here below. And again, your IG is at AD_U-Ball Training. Anthony Davis, been a pleasure, man. Let's do it. Let's do it again. Let's do a part two sometime.
For sure. Anytime, brother.
All right, man.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Peace.
man. Thank you. Peace out.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Thank you so much for joining me on Within the Game podcast. Visit withinthegame.com for show notes and links on everything we talked about today. You can also subscribe to the mailing list, which will give you exclusive content from each guest, as well as more resources to help you stay inspired in and out of your game. Follow us on Instagram at Within the Game Podcast.